All right, you can have a minute or two.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. Today we are very much blessed. We have His Holiness Bhakti ANUGRAHA JANARDAN SWAMI Maharaj who will be speaking to us from the Transcendental Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj has been so kind to us by visiting us from time to time, sharing his love and wisdom with us all. And today again, we have the presence of His Holiness with us. So, Maharaj, we can't thank you enough for blessing us with your divine association. So, without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and then you may take it over from here. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Gopal Krishna Goswami Gitami. Prabhupada Sasachami Prakasha Vidyacha Pachandi Vashari Pate Mokma. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sijuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Serupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gope Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kipa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10. Srimad Bhagavatam, the answer to all the questions, answer to everything. And it is text number 11 and 12. 11 doesn't have purport, but there is an explanation commentary from the Acharyas. So we will discuss a little bit of that. And then we'll go to text number 12. Tasu abatsit swasistasho sahasrang paribatsarang tena narayano nama yad apa purushodvava tasu abatsit swasristasho sahasrang paribatsarang tena narayano nama yad apa purushodvava. Translation: that person is not impersonal. The Supreme Person is not impersonal, and therefore is distinctly a Nara or person. Therefore, the transcendental water created from the Supreme Nara is known as Nara. And because he lies down on that water, he is known as Narayana. As it is Lord Krishna in the form of this one of the Purusha avatars, dwelling for many years in that water, whom he created himself, and that means that's why he is called Narayana, since the waters Nara arose from the Purusha Nara. So Narayana means that's where it came from. He who dwells in the water. This is clear by the verse saying, and then by residing Tena in that water, he got the name Narayana because the waters arose from the Purusha. Nara means Purusha. Purusha means master. Param Purush, Supreme Master, that's Lord Krishna. Nara is that which arises from him. That means the water. And he whose resting place, Ayana, is that water, Nara, is called Narayana. It's said here in the Vishnu Purana, Canto 1, Chapter 4, text number 6. Apo Nara iti prukta apo vainara sushnava ayanang tasyata purvang tena narayana shmita. The word apaha and nara are synonymous for water. Since the waters are considered the sons of Nara, the primeval male or Mahavishnu. Note, Nara means offspring of Nara. Since these waters act as the bed, Ayana, of Mahavishnu, from the ancient past, he is called Narayana. From the Vishnu Purana, Canto 1, Chapter 4, text number 6. So, the original Purusha avatars is Karunadakasai Vishnu, or we call him, another name is Mahavishnu. He came from the second quadruple expansion, second Sankarshan. The first there, the original quadruple expansion, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And then, again, expanded himself, second Sankarshan, from Mula Sankarshan, the original Sankarshan, the expansion of Lord Balaram. Then the different Narayan feature of the Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu, four-arm form in the spiritual world. Mainly there are 24, according to one's hand, Lord Vishnu, different 24 expansions. They're holding these different items. Conch, Gada, club, Padma, lotus flower, and Chakra, the Sudarshan. And then from the second Sankarshan manifest these different Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu or Karnadakashai Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and then Kshirdakashai Vishnu. In each and every universe, there is also an expansion of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, whose half of our universe is filled up with water. Garbodak ocean. So that's why it's called Garbhodakashai Vishnu. And then there's another expansion, Purusha Avatar. His name is Kshirdakashai Vishnu, or the Paramatma, Super Soul. And he resides also in the Milk Ocean, Kshir Shagar. And he's also Paramatma, the localized aspect, who is present in every nook and corner of the creation. So these Purus avatars, they are the expansions of the Supreme Lord for the function of creation and also maintenance. One should definitely one should definitely know that all material ingredients, activities, time, and modes, and the living entities who are meant to enjoy them all exist by his mercy only. And as soon as he does not care for them, everything becomes non-existent. So this is a text 12. Dravyang karma cha kalascha sabhabho jiva eva cha yad anugrahata shanti na shanti yad upekshasa saya dravyang karma cha kalascha swabhavo jiva eva cha yad anugrahata shanti na shanti yad upekshaya. Anugrahata, by the mercy. Without the Lord's mercy, we will not exist. Everything becomes non-existent. The translation of that verse, one should definitely know that all material ingredients, activities, time, and modes, and the living entities who are meant to enjoy them all exist by his mercy only. And as soon as he does not care for them, everything becomes non-existent. So the Lord, by connection with the Lord, matter, that means prakriti, karma, that means the activities, time, kala, swabhad, and the totality of jivas can produce effects. So without the Supreme Lord, just like the Supreme Lord is like the string that's holding all the pearls together. Without his presence, they have no effect. So ultimate cause and effect is Lord Krishna. And in the feature or the expansions of the Purusa avatars. So this verse, according to Acharyas, this describes the Lord who dwells in the universal form. Drabhya means the material cause, upadana, starting with earth. Karma, kala, and swabhava. Note, according to the commentary and chapter 5 of the second canto, text 14, swabhava is the ability of the gunas to transform themselves. So these different items, karma, kala, swabhava, are efficient causes, nibita. Jiva refers to Hiranyagarbha, the enjoyer, the totality of jivas. This is a form of Brahma. Because of being connected to the Lord, these things exist. Without the Paramatma, the jiva or his body cannot exist. Or without the Paramatma, these items cannot produce effects. Now let's read Srila Prabhupada's purport. The living entities are the enjoyers of the material ingredients, time, modes, etc., because they want to lord it over the material nature. So they are the enjoyers materially. The Lord is a supreme enjoyer, and the living entities are meant to assist the Lord in his enjoyment and thus participate in the transcendental enjoyment of everyone. So the Lord is ultimately the enjoyer, and we are the enjoyed. We're just like fragmental parts and parcels of the Supreme. It's like the screws, the different parts of a machine. This is a crude example. Is if no use, if they will be just like lying down. If it's not connected to the machine. So there are of use, importance, these different parts of the machine, if they are connected to the machine. Otherwise, they are useless. They are of no use. So similarly, the living entities are meant to assist the Supreme Lord because this is their nature. Prabhupada gave the meaning of Sanatan Dharma, our eternal occupational duty. Our eternal nature, our real nature is to serve the Supreme Lord. If we're not serving the Supreme Lord, then we are serving Maya, either serving Maya or serving Krishna. But our real nature is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Enjoyer. And we are the enjoyed. And as soon as we load it over the material energy, we think that we are the proprietor. We think that we are the Lord. We think that we are the master. But nevertheless, it doesn't work like that. Always like assisting the Supreme Lord. We're always serving the Supreme Lord. This is the Sanatan Dharma. There is the occupational duty, the Dharma. Prabhupada gave that the closest meaning in English of Dharma is religion. And as Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, also the topmost religion is the one who shows you how to develop love for God by serving Him, by giving everything to the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord is the supreme enjoyer, and the living entities are meant to assist him in his enjoyment and thus participate in the transcendental enjoyment of everyone. The enjoyer and the enjoyed both participate in enjoyment. Both are enjoying. It's like a good example is this also. It's like the servants, they will prepare so many offerings, preparations for the master, to please the master. So many kinds of different preparations, from milk products, grains, beans, lentils, and so on. And by the combination of this, they can create so many preparations. So they will offer to the master. But the master is not able to really eat the whole offerings. But he's very happy that the servants are doing this. So who also get the benefit, who also enjoyed? Then after the master have eaten, then whatever the remnants are, everyone will participate and partake to the remnants from the master. So they serve the master, and whatever is left over, ultimately, who enjoyed most or more? It is the servants who are enjoying more by their service. This is the reward that they receive from serving the master without any self-interest, without any ulterior motive. And by doing so, both are happy. The enjoyer and the enjoyed both participate in enjoyment, but diluted by the illusory energy, the living entities want to become the enjoyer like the Lord, although they are not meant for such enjoyment. So ultimately, we cannot enjoy matter because we are spiritual living entities. And it is not matching. It's not compatible. The living entities being in condition in the material world, they think that they can enjoy matter, but it doesn't matter. They cannot enjoy matter. It doesn't matter how much they try. They will always be dissatisfied. There is no satisfaction. There's no self-fulfillment because it doesn't match. It's incompatible. We can only enjoy in a transcendental platform when we serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Prabhupada used the word here, deluded by the illusory energy. This is the nature of the material world. It's illusory. We think that we can enjoy these different material ingredients, but it is not so. You cannot, just like, again, Prabhupada gave an example, you cannot mix water and oil. It's always going to be separated. There's no way that they'll become mixed. You can try to mix, but still oil and water is not, you cannot mix them together. So we're not really enjoying because the moment we attempt to enjoy, that is the start of our suffering materially. Because we're trying to do something which it is not possible to do, no matter how much we try. And a little bit of material enjoyment, the reaction is quite multiplied, magnified, so much more. There are more sufferings. The attempt to enjoy, the result is more suffering, more anxiety, more discontent. One cannot be content. One cannot be fully satisfied. We want to be the enjoyer, but we cannot. We are the enjoyed. So it's better that we know what to do, what to choose from. We can only enjoy when we serve the Supreme Lord and his devotees. That is real enjoyment. Sometimes, I'm sure you had this experience also when there is a feast. The cook will prepare nice preparations for the pleasure of the Lord first, and then it'll be partaken by the devotees. They will honor the prasad. And the cook, he relished so much. He enjoyed so much trying to please the Lord and the devotees that sometimes they don't have to eat. They don't have to honor the prasad, the feast, just by looking at the devotees relishing the prasadam. And similarly with the devotees who are serving the prasad, they'll be so in bliss, they'll be in ecstasy that by seeing the devotees, this sometimes happen. I know I had this experience as well, and I'm sure some of you also had the same experience, that when you serve, then you get relishable experience that you don't need to there's no need to eat. You're fully satisfied. Yes. Okay, we continue. The jivas, the living entities, are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as the Lord's superior nature, or para prakriti. And so also it is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana. Yes, para prakriti. By nature, the jivas are superior than the material inert matter. They don't have life. Ultimately, matter doesn't have life. It is only by when the creation takes place as well. Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu, he glanced on the material energy and then it activated. So, the jivas, the living entities, are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. They are superior by nature. Therefore, the living entities are never the purusas or the factual enjoyers. Lord superior nature. Yeah, but again, there is the Parampurusha. Prabhupada says also we are like little Krishna. We're like small example of Krishna, but Krishna is unlimited. We are limited. Krishna's qualities also have living. Both are full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. The only difference is that Krishna cannot be covered up by the modes of material nature. However, the living entities, even though they're also full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity, they are minute, anu, compared to Krishna as Vibhu. We are minute, and we can be covered up by the modes of material nature. Even though we are superior than Prakriti, material nature, but we can be covered up as soon as we try to become the master. As soon as we identified with this body as the self, then that's the time that we become covered up by the material energy. Therefore, the living entities are never the Purusa. So there's never a time that we are going to be the enjoyers. Only Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We are the enjoyed. And there is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekala Isvara Krishna Ara Sabha Vitaya. That means Krishna is the only supreme and everyone is subordinate to him in nature. But in terms of relationship, sometimes Krishna will be subordinate. He'll be subjugated by the love of his devotees. So in a sense, bhakti is higher than Krishna because by the bhakti of the devotees of the Lord, they seemingly they become superior in relationship. It's like the Vatsalya Ras. Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj, as parents, they can command Krishna. They can give instruction to Krishna. Or as friendship, it's like Arjuna, being a devotee and a friend of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna agreed to be the chariot driver, Parthasarthi. He agreed to perform that duty in order to please also his devotee and to convince his devotee to do the right thing, to do his duty out of love. In order to convince his devotee to do the right thing, Krishna put himself in a position where seemingly in a normal way, in general way, he became lesser in position, but it's not. Because when Arjuna understood that he is in illusion, he is bewildered, he does not know what to do, then he listened. He heard the whole Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna to convince Arjuna to fight. And ultimately he gave in, he surrendered. He surrendered to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, of the Lord, Song of God. So it says here, the jivas, the living entities, are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as the Lord's superior nature or prara prakriti. Therefore, the living entities are never the purusa. As such, the spirit of enjoyment by the living entity in the material world is false. This is where it comes in. We think that we are enjoying, again, we try to enjoy because this is our nature. We've heard that, Anandamaya Vyasat. We are pleasure-seeking entities. That is our nature. We all want to be happy. Who does not want to be happy? But we think that we are happy in a conditioned state by engaging in our material pursuit. We think that we can be satisfied. We think that we can fully be happy. But it is not so. Because the temporary nature of the material world that makes it for us living entities to really enjoy matter is not everlasting. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. Even though it is real, but at the same time, is that temporary nature makes it false. What is real and always real is a transcendental nature. It's eternal. There's no beginning, there's no end, and there's no beginning, there's no middle, and there's no end. So to speak, it's always the now. The future is now. Unlike in the material world, there is past, present, and future. And then again, that future is futile. It's understood that we know what is the result. Miserable condition, more suffering. In the spiritual world, the living entities are pure in nature, and therefore they are associates in the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. So no one can associate with the Supreme Pure if one is not pure. Prabhupada says that one cannot live in the sun planet without having the same physical body composition that can exist in the sun planet. Because if we don't have that suitable body, then we will be burnt immediately. Will not be able to exist. So similarly, in the spiritual world, which is Chinmaya Ras, is superior in nature, full of knowledge and bliss and eternity. So all the associates of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world are of the same nature, Chinmaya Ras. And therefore, their relationship in the spiritual world is just full of enjoyment. There is no miseries there, or there is no headache. Only in the material world. Of course, we've heard that one day Lord Krishna had a headache, and that is in the material world. Just to see the greatness of the gopis' love towards him. When Narad Muni came one day and Lord Krishna had a headache, so he was asking, so what is the remedy for your headache? And Lord Krishna says that the only remedy that can dispel or eradicate this headache is the dust from the lotus feet of my devotees. So he went here and there, and everyone is afraid to go to hell. No way. How can I give the dust from my feet to the Lord? I'm gonna go to hell for that. It's like, the superiors, we don't want to displease them. So similarly, the gopis, when Narad Muni came to the gopis and approach and see what is their reaction, the gopis, they're ready to give. It doesn't matter how much amount. Okay, you can take whatever you like, as long as our Lord become relieved from his headache. So this is enjoyment. This is spiritual enjoyment with the Supreme Lord. Enjoyment because they want to please the Lord, and they don't mind whatever will happen to them. This is in the spiritual world. They're ready to sacrifice anything and everything for the Lord's pleasure. In the material world, the spirit of enjoyment of the living entities by dint of their own actions, karma, gradually fades by the laws of nature. And thus the illusory energy dictates in the ears of the conditioned souls that they should become one with the Lord. This is the last snare of Maya. Srila Prabhupada says, to become one with the Supreme Lord. And this is illusory. This is the function of the illusory energy. It's like a thankless task. She's doing her duty really well. That's why another name for Maya or Durga is this. She's embarrassed to. She's a Vaishnavi. She's a Vaishnavi to the highest degree. It is her duty to serve the Lord, but her function is to put the living entities into illusion and to bind them with the ropes of the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Do not let them go, get out of this material world until she is convinced that, yes, I will only surrender to the Supreme Lord. I'm not going to be the servant of my senses and my mind. I'm going to utilize everything. Purify my existence, purify my intelligence, understanding at all times that I'm servant of Lord Krishna. Once she is convinced, then we will be released from her being us captured by the material energy. So she is embarrassed at the same time, but she's doing her duty very well. An example of Prabhupada was given is like the maid, the house cleaners, they clean the house when the master is away. They clean it very nicely. Before the master comes, they want to be sure that everything is clean. But then they knew when the master will be coming, and before the master will arrive, they will disappear. They will go to their quarters, maid servants or servants' quarters. They will not see, they will not even look to the eyes of the master directly. They will always like bow down. This is their humility. So Mother Nature, Prakriti, she's doing personified is Durga or Maya, Mahamaya. She's doing her duty very well. So this is in the material world. We have this enjoying a spirit, the living entities, due to their actions. But again, it says here, gradually fades by the laws of nature, and the illusory energy becomes superior. And ultimately, the last snare of Maya, as Prabhupada says, is to become one. There are many speakers here in Vrindavan. They're sweet I was just thinking about this. You ask them some spiritual question and they will answer you very nicely, very sweetly. But then they have concluded that once we come out of the illusion, so to speak, the ones we come into the platform of moksha, liberation from the attraction towards the material energy, then they think that they became Narayan. They become one with Narayan. This is the danger. This is the danger here when we hear this kind of Mayavad philosophy. It's like poison that enters into our heart. It's very difficult to eradicate. Yeah. We have some of them here in Vrindavan, and some of our devotees became ensnared by this illusory energy, thinking that, oh, they're getting the highest philosophy. Then eventually the bomb will be dropped and it's too late for them to get out of that situation. Only an intelligent person will not want to hear, even from the very beginning, to this kind of personalities there. We are warned in the Srimad Bhagavatam about this unscrupulous, so-called religious personalities from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. When the last illusion is also cleared off by the mercy of the Lord, the living entity again becomes reinstated in his original position and thus become actually liberated. Without the mercy of the Lord, it is by the mercy of the Lord that we can become clear, that we'll have clear understanding, that we can distinguish between matter and spirit, and will not be succumbed by the attraction of the material energy. As long as we have this material body, the attraction for Maya will be there. No, Maya doesn't spare anyone. We have seen that also in the story of Haridas Thakur, but Haridas Thakur is Uttama Bhakta. He's a Mahabhagavat. And therefore, he did not get affected by the prostitute, Maya Devi. Because he's so focused. He's so determined to finish his 90. Was that? How many rounds? 192? 192 rounds. Is that correct? 64 plus 64. 128 plus another 64. 192. Yes, 192 rounds. That he asked Maya Devi, prostitute, to wait and let me finish my rounds. So that's why he did not get affected. He was so determined to finish his quota. For a neophyte devotee, can get easily distracted. This is the symptom of a neophyte devotee. He can be easily swayed. He can be easily convinced otherwise not to practice bhakti, to do something else. So we have to be very strong in our process of devotional service so that we cannot be attracted. That we can understand when Maya started to invite us into her kingdom. No, a strong devotee, a very, very strict devotee, will be able to distinguish. Says here, when the last illusion is also cleared off by the mercy of the Lord, the living entity again becomes reinstated in his original position and thus becomes actually liberated. For this attainment of liberation from the material clutches, the Lord creates the material world, maintains it for some time, 1,000 years of his measurement, as is stated in the previous verse. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. And then again annihilates it by his will. So the living entities are therefore completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord, and all their so-called enjoyments by scientific improvement are crushed into dust when the Lord desires. This is the conclusion of this verse, that the devotees are completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord because they feel protection. When one is dependent in the material world, it seems to be a sign of misfortune. No one wants to depend on another person. As much as possible, no, I will stand on my own 2 feet. I don't need any help from anybody. I can do it by my own. No, in the spiritual platform, no, we're always dependent. Ultimately, we have to depend on somebody. And who is the most perfect person that we can depend on, that will not let us down, is Lord Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, he mentions this one time or another to his disciples. Don't rely on me. Don't depend on me. I may let you down. But depend on Lord Krishna. He will never let you down. Of course, Srila Prabhupada will never let us down as well. Being pure representative of the Supreme Lord. Our spiritual master, the genuine representative of the Supreme Lord, will also not let us down. We can always fully depend on him, being a transparent via media of the Supreme Lord. He's a representative. So our dependence on the Supreme Lord reflects on how we depend on our spiritual master. Dependence means, yes, entirely on the mercy. Without the mercy of Guru Kripa, we will not exist. We will not be able to maintain ourselves. The Pandavas, Prabhupada gave an example. The Pandavas are the most fortunate because with all good luck, they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. So in our case, our transcendental relationship with the Lord, it is the most fortunate case when we can live completely dependent on him. He is our ever well-wisher. It's like when Prabhupada, he will sign the letter, your ever well-wisher. It's a friend. True friend will never let you down. Like there's a saying in English, a friend in need is a friend indeed. A real friend will not leave you behind. In the material world, one is a friend only when he's able to get what he wants from the other person. Like some material benefits. Well, and as soon as, even in family, this happens as well. They're only in good terms if I'm able to. This is materially. Really, it's like to the lowest degree. Relatives. Only if you have something that I want to have, then I'm with you. But if you don't have anywhere, then I will leave you behind. I'll go somewhere else. Look for somebody who is able to provide my needs. But Krishna, no. Krishna is always there with us. As Param Atma. We can fully depend on Krishna, and Krishna will not let us down. And mercy is always open for everyone. The question is, are we ready to accept that mercy? Because sometimes mercy is not only giving. Krishna, he shows his mercy also to his devotee when he takes away things that he is most attached to. Things that he's most attached to materially. If Krishna takes that away from you, then Krishna is showing his mercy to you. So that you will not have any recourse except the shelter under his lotus feet. So the material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. This is a disease. And it can only be cured when we meet a bona fide spiritual master, because the bona fide spiritual master can cut off our material dependency, our material attachments. So material nature is so cruel that she does not allow us to become independent. Cruel. This is the cruelty of material nature. We always need to depend on someone. And the false attempt to become independent of the stringent laws of nature is known as material advancement of experimental knowledge. These are modern day scientists, speculators. They depend on material. They depend on their material skills or experience, but they cannot depend on those at the time of death. That they cannot be helped. There's no assurance at the time of death that whatever material knowledge they have, being independent through their experiments and so on, will not save them at the time of death. I was just listening to one lecture, Prabhupada. He had one student, Sarup Damodar Swami, and yes, His Holiness Bhakti Sarup Damodar Swami. And he was talking to scientists. I give you all the chemical composition of the body of a man. Well, can you produce a man by chemical composition if I give them to you? And the scientist says, no. The materialist scientist, no, not possible. So they cannot even depend on, their knowledge. So the whole material world is moving on this false attempt at becoming independent of the laws of nature. So ultimately, they're saying also not even a blade of grass moves without the will of the providence. Yeah. We cannot fully enjoy scientifically through scientific improvements. It doesn't matter how you may say advanced civilization, but actually it's not advanced civilization. It's uncivilized because they don't have any inclination to serve and surrender unto the Supreme Lord. That means they're backwards. Materially, you may say, okay, it looks like they're very, very advanced. They created rockets. They created vehicles that can go to the sun. Just like in India, they're attempting to go to the sun, the moon. Practically almost many countries have been there, but who knows even if they're really there. It's just a bluff. No one can go to the moon with their material vehicles. Is what is quite far. By the time you reach there, you'll run out of petrol. But they're always depending on their so-called scientific improvements. And without Krishna, we will also be nothing. Will not existing. It is only Krishna is the root cause of everything. And without him, nothing will exist. So we need to completely depend on the Supreme Lord, and Krishna will not let us down. What does it mean by depending on the Supreme Lord? We have to completely surrender unto him. Like a child, completely dependent on the parents. And the parents knows what to do, what is our needs. And in this way, we'll be happy. Dependent on the Supreme Lord, being dependent on the Supreme Lord will eternally have the effect that we will live with the Supreme Lord, eventually be with him in the spiritual world. Okay, I will stop here now. Is there any more points or questions in this topic, in this regard? Haribol?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such wonderful, beautiful delivery of Krishna Katha. Devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations, please, you may indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak. Maharaj, in fact, today, you, I don't know how to describe it, but you've spoken in such a way that my stone-like, my steel-like heart has been softened somehow. And Maharaj, my thanks, my appreciation
Your heart is already melted like butter. By Lord.
I hope it melts like butter because it's so hard. But even though it's melted, but not fully melted. And I pray that it gets fully melted. But thank you so much for the Krishna Katha you've shared with us today. So many important points you highlighted, and it's almost difficult to ask a question from what you said. But I still have one question, which is not exactly from what you shared, because what you shared is so beautiful. I don't find any question to ask from that. But my question is, why is it that we know, we understand that trying to enjoy separately from Krishna is always going to be a problematic, yet we still want to do it? After having all the knowledge and even the experience of enjoying outside of Krishna causes us suffering and nothing else, we still want to do it. Why that is the case?
Why? Because of our attachment. And we don't have complete faith in the process. Srila Prabhupada has guaranteed that if we follow this process, chant minimum 16 rounds without any offenses, follow the 4 regulative principles, worship the spiritual master, associate with the devotees, and serve the Lord, yes, I guarantee that we'll go back home, back to Godhead. That means we're not really completely convinced on this process. But if we are really convinced about the process, we will not deviate even a single degree or even 0.01 of the degree to the process. We're not really like having that complete faith. We have faith right now, the beginning, Shraddha. But when we come to Nistha, then there is no more deviation there. We're just like, that's it. We're just completely determined. No more backing up, no more going, on the side. You just keep going. So we have to convince ourselves about the process. And that is through the association of like-minded devotees or those who are more advanced than you are. I gave this example also from my last meeting with some devotees in North America. Today, this is my 3rd class for today. One in Russia, then US, Canada, and different parts of the world, and now Africa. So, I am convinced of what I'm doing. So I have to stick with this. And if I keep doing this, Maya will not be able to touch me. You don't leave a gap for Maya to enter. That means you have to go to always think of Krishna, his instructions, and be engaged as much as possible in the service of the Lord and his devotees. There's the thoughts may come, but no, you have the higher taste now. And once you attain that higher taste, everything is, no taste, tasteless, right? So we have to gain that higher taste. We have to shoot for that. And once we reach that liberated state, as Prabhupada says here, then your personal, the enjoyment that one will derive from that is that you will enjoy with Krishna on the personal level. That is our goal, Prabhu.
Yes.
We have to go for that. But don't be discouraged. But from time to time, there is ups and downs on the along the way. There is ups and downs, but this comes and go. Don't be distracted by this. Don't be affected by this. The modes of material nature. This is our duty, to give us something, but actually, we want to take. Like what you want to take um a mile, or you want to take an inch from Maya, but Maya will give you a mile. It's also so, so you have to be careful, isn't it? Maya is like that. She'll give you a big increase to whatever desires you like. And this is what she wants. This is what she likes. And she's doing her duty, as we mentioned earlier. So we have to be careful what we desire. Devotees' desire is only to serve Krishna.
Well, much, Maharaj. Now, will it be appropriate for a devotee to pray to the Lord to become as dedicated to his guru as material nature is to Krishna? Because, like you perfectly described in material nature, her service seems to be like thankless, but
Yeah.
she dedicated to what she's been asked by the Supreme Lord to do. And so even though she may not like to do it, but she has to do it. She has to please.
Right. That's
Can
right.
people pray to the Lord to be able to dedicate his life to his guru just like material nature is to Krishna?
Sure.
Okay.
Prayers are very powerful. Prayers is like spiritual. Prayer is for the benefit of one's spiritual being. It's not a material desire. If that prayer will help us make advancement in Krishna consciousness, that is not mundane. Unlike the materialists, they pray for material progress. That is not proper to ask the Lord. The Lord, he already knew what our needs are materially. And if we deserve it, Krishna will give it to us. But spiritually, we have to beg. We have to beg towards fulfilling that desire to be fulfilled, to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, and to keep on serving the Supreme Lord birth after birth, and his devotees, his bona fide representatives, the spiritual master. So that is not a mundane prayer. That is a spiritual. That is admirable. That is what we should be praying for. How was that? Chakudana Dilo Jai Janmi Janmi Prabhu say. You'll be my worshipful Lord, birth after birth. And we pray that every day, isn't it?
Yes.
That should be the mood. That should be our mood. But we have to act on that also, not just to pray like that, but then not supported by our actions, by our thoughts. And Krishna will provide more and more. There's no worries about that. He's a supreme maintainer of everything, but he specifically take care of his devotees. There's no doubt about that. One should be convinced about that. Right?
Yes. Thank you so much. All right. But son, please, you may unmute.
Somebody raise his hand.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Guru Maharaj, please. Kindly
Hello.
accept my humble respect of essences. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and all glory to you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Maharaj, I have this question.
Yes.
Okay, my question is, always we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and for instance, they talk about Haridas Thakur,
Mm-hmm.
Arjun, and how they live their life and how they are so dear to Krishna, and they are doing the best in the devotional service.
Mm-mm.
But if you look at them, for instance, Haridas Thakur is so dear to me, and I wish if I take initiation, I have that name. But Haridas Thakur, at the same time, I hear that he is Lord Brahma who come to this material world.
Uh-huh.
So if,
And Prahlad Maharaj combined.
yes, Parad Maharaj and Haridas Thakur,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
he chants this number of rounds, sometimes you're beginning to think that, is it because he has this potency like his Lord Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj, that's why he was able to do that? Because sometimes it's like, do I have to follow his footsteps, or do I have to ask him for mercy? Because
Yeah.
you see that you are not qualified to even think about him to follow his footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
And if even today I was listening to my Guru Maharaj, and he was talking about Hanuman, and even I didn't know that Hanuman, his first parents was Lord Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the service they did, and you're beginning to ask yourself where they come from, who they are, how can you follow their footsteps? Because in this material world, if we look around now, there's a lot of distractions. And during that time, they don't have all these distractions. So even to think of following their footsteps is something you don't even want to
Well,
think
I
about it.
understand. I understand your question.
Yes.
We have to follow in the mood how they serve the Supreme Lord. We cannot compare ourselves to anybody, but we have that potency also that when we serve the Supreme Lord, Krishna will give us Shakti. He will give us potency to also help others in Krishna consciousness. It is not so easy. We cannot imitate them. We cannot, sit in a solitary place and chant that many rounds. We're not on that level. So we need to start from the very beginning. We have to do it slowly, gradually. Then hopefully one day we'll have that love also will be developed into our heart to offer to the Supreme Lord. We all have that unique relationship with the Supreme Lord, so that can be developed by following this process. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur, but we can follow in his footsteps, how dedicated he is in the holy name. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says we should chant constantly. Just to say 192 rounds that he's chanting, but actually he's chanting 24 hours, even while sleeping. They don't, the Goswamis, they only sleep like an hour, and sometimes they will even forget to eat. They only have, like 100 ml or 200 ml of buttermilk the whole day. Their body is always saturated with love of God. Their eyes always fill with tears flowing from their eyes. Their body is in horripilation, hair standing on end. This is a fact that this is what we are aspiring for. It is not just for only few individuals. It is meant for everyone. You also can do it, but we have to pay the price. The price is that we are really eager to attain it. That is the price. If you're eager to attain it, then someday you'll become qualified. You will do anything and everything to have it. But the price must be paid. It doesn't come from the sky and it'll drop. And you don't do anything. No. We're not like armchair philosophers here. We walk our talk. And that's what it should be. Huh? So don't worry. One day we will come to that level also. But we just keep going. And whenever you have the chance to hear, just like this Sangha. Oh, Chaplain Mitravinda is here also. She was the previous meeting with the Bhakti Sangha.
She's everywhere.
Huh? What's that?
She's everywhere. Krishna Katha is going on.
That's it. When you're eager to hear, I mentioned this in the previous meeting with the Bhakti Sangha. That's about 2-3 hours ago. The price that we have to pay is our eagerness. Or Rupa Goswami says, lobha, that greed that we have to. And this is very rare. Not everyone is ready to pay the price. They think that, oh, let me just get the blessings and the mercy. Yes, you'll get blessed, you get mercy from the Lord, but to get full blessings, that is another thing. Now you're blessed to hear such topics like what we're talking, to have this association, even in virtual association. We're so fortunate. This is blessings, it's a mercy already. But we want to increase this more and more until we become liberated and have that opportune time to be with Krishna in person. And this is for everyone, even to the most sinful, conditioned soul. As soon as they're ready to accept, to take the process, it's meant for everyone. They'll be chanting like Haridas Thakur. Not just 192 rounds, but all the time, 24 hours. Yes? You understood? Bhakta?
Yes, Maharaj. My question I wanted to ask is, do you have to pray to them for mercy or faith?
What?
He's asking whether we need to pray to these great devotees for mercy or for
faith.
Yeah.
We already answered that in the previous question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We need their mercy. We need their blessings. You cannot go there on your own. You need a guide. It's like you go to a place, unknown place to you, but now you have GPS. Then you show you the way how to reach. So spiritually, you need a guide. You need the blessings. You have to pray for this. It doesn't come on its own. You have to have the desire. Don't wait and not do anything and you think that you get the mercy. No. You have to ask. You have to beg. We're beggars here. It's real beggars.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for the answer.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Anything else?
Dear devotees, if no one has questions or comments to share, then we may bring this to a close. Maharaj, like we said, we can't thank you enough for your love, your dedication, and wisdom you've been sharing with us all these.
I was happy. This is
Yeah.
only Guru Kripa, Vaishnav Kripa.
Yeah, thank you so much. So on this note, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to His Holiness for His love, wisdom shared with us today. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
His Holiness, His Holiness Bhakti Anugrah Swami Maharaj ki. Yeah.
All have a good day, Krishna conscious day. And tomorrow is Ekadasi. So chant more and hear more. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, till we meet you again. Hari Hari.